Okay, we're here to talk desire. Um, if you haven't read it, one of the most important books that I think you read at some point in your life is this guy right here, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the main thought is that everything stems from desire. And if you want something bad enough, you can transmute that thought into a reality. So if you really want to go to the NBA and nothing is going to stop you from going to the NBA, you're pretty much guaranteed to get there. And I believe that to be true. My problem is I have zero desire. There's a lot of niceties and a lot of things that I'd like to be true, but like, am I willing to die for it? I don't know. No, basically. And I'm struggling to find kind of what that thing is that pushes me to the edge to try and make it work. Because like right now, I'm kind of struggling with my business, right? In a point of like, what direction do I take it? You know what? Like I've been doing this shit for like damn near a year now. It's been like 7 8 months or something, and I still don't have a fucking offer, right? I quit my job because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna 100%, I'm gonna make this work by any means necessary. I was very motivated at the time, and quit my job and started it up, and I don't know, and then just some sort of fear got in my head of like, of I just I don't know, I stopped wanting to push so hard into the business out of fear of getting greedy and taking advantage of other people and like just I don't know, just the responsibility. I guess this is one of the main things that kind of scared me. It was like the responsibility of taking other people's livelihoods into my hands and caring for it because they are trusting me with their business and their livelihood. And if I fuck it up, like I don't want to do that. If I never interfered, then nothing would have happened to their business, and like that's not what I intend to do. But I guess it's something that kind of got into my head, and I've been maybe scared to reach out because of that, and like take people on as clients, which I think is something that I need to learn and like get over. Anyways, I'm getting off topic, but anyways, desire has waned away from that. And my desire for wanting to get money and wanting to, build some sort of crazy life and do all these things has kind of disappeared. Um, why that is, I think it's partially because I got closer to God. Um, but that's also created like a little bit more of a blockade for me, which again is probably the work of God of like, becoming a better person. It's just something that I want to highlight that I'm going through right now in case anybody else is also going through this. Um, but like money has basically become something that I don't worry about at all, which is probably bad because you need money to survive. Today I had $6 to my name and I bought my last meal at Winco for $4. It was chicken meal, two-piece chicken with potato wedges. So I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I'm probably just gonna eat crackers out of my friend's kitchen until my tax return hits. But like, why do I not have the desire to get more money? Why do I not want to push so hard for that? Maybe it's fear of seeing what money does to people. Maybe it's fear of hurting other people in the process of acquiring money for myself. It's just taking taking the risk of like putting other people's livelihood at risk. And making fucking sense. You get what I'm saying though. I don't know. It's just not worth it to me. So like, I did a thought experiment with myself of like, what do I desire? What do I need to happen? And a lot of searching through the Bible and a lot of praying and everything has kind of told me that like there are two things that people should do, which is glorify God and glorify others, right? And there's this parable that I've been thinking about a lot, which is the parable about the servants who had talents. This is what they called currency. It's about to say buried talents, but this is parable, where there's a master, and the master has 3 servants, and he gives them all talents, which is currency, and 2 of them take it and they invest it and they make more money, and the master returns and he praises them and says, hey, good job. And then there's one servant who takes his talent and he buries it in the ground, and then he digs it up later, returns it to the master, and gets scolded for having possession of talents and not doing anything with it. And I personally believe that, it just so happens that talents in the story, talking about currency, happen to apply to us as like our innate talents for what you might think it is. I think the same thing. Sorry, I'm fucking retarded. Anyways, what I'm saying is, like, I know I'm a capable person, and because of this capability, I feel responsibility to invest my talents and do good with them. It's just, in what facet do I do that? How do I take my talents and invest them? Because I'd like to do that. I don't have any strong desire to like push towards anything. And it's not a depression thing or anything. It's more along the lines of like, I kind of know that nothing matters. Like, if I do nothing, like in life, and I die, like, none of it really matters. We're a tiny speck of dust in this infinite void. And I guess the only thing that matters is, like, do I believe that God is my savior, and do I believe that I should follow him? And all the things are out of my hands, right? So it kind of creates this conflict of, yes, I believe that things are out of my hands and my fate is not up to me at all, and it's all up to God, and he gets to decide what happens to me. But it also creates this conflict of, like, how hard do I push, right? How hard do I work towards something before it's me wanting it versus God's intention for me? And so I guess it's kind of where I'm like, I don't really know where to go from here, because on one hand, I can wait for God to, I can wait for God to fucking give me some sort of, reason or purpose or something to push towards, which, that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I don't know if I can recognize, like, is this what I'm going through right now an internal battle of, like, helping me find that through struggle? I don't know. It's very fucking, it gets to this point in my head where it's like, I can't comprehend how deep we're going into this shit, so I'm gonna just stop. Yeah, I don't desire anything, and, like, there's a lot of things that would be nice, but, like, how do I have anything that I'm willing to die over? Not really. Not because I value my life super highly, but just like, is anything important enough for me to put my life on the line for? And like for example, like, I'd like to make things nice for my family, and get my brother a car, and make their lives easier. But, like, on the other hand, it's like, am I willing to die for that? No, for 2 reasons. Number one, if I did nothing, right, and I just died right now, would that really affect them? Like, do they need me to succeed? Not really. I trust them all enough to be able to make it on their own, and, like, be able to build their own stuff, right? So, like, that takes away from, like, I need to do this. And then number two is, like, I personally believe that pain and struggle is part of growth, which is probably what's going on for me right now. But yeah, I believe that pain and struggle is part of growth. And, like, that's another thing with, like, how do I want to help people? Because I don't want to like give people answers, because for me I maybe I should accept help from other people, but, like, personally, I think I grow the most from, like, going through struggle and then internalizing things and learning how to solve the problems on my own and form my own opinions and my own ways of dealing with things. That's what's always worked for me. Maybe it's different for other people, but, like, am I taking away from people's growth if, say I do well and I make all this money, and I start giving money to people, like is that money actually going to help them or is it going to hinder them? Because I don't know personally, like I don't really, I don't want any help, and I don't really want any. And like again, like fuck, it's just getting complicated again. You know what I'm saying? But like you get the point of, like, will giving people money hinder their progress and their own personal growth, or will it help them? And like for me, that's hindering. That's gonna make it harder for me to grow, because I don't know, it's almost like taking the easy path out, at least for me. But maybe it's different for other people. And my money that I could earn is like actually helpful. It doesn't hinder them. I don't know. I don't really know where I stand with all this, but like I'm just having a hard time picking my route and picking where to invest my talents. Um, because like nothing, like any route that I've kind of picked out in my head, like I don't feel a strong connection to it, and I don't really feel like, I don't know. There's no desire. Like if I choose any sort of scenario, if it doesn't happen, that's fine. Like that's just the way the world goes. Like I mean, say I solve world hunger or some shit, or like cure cancer. Again, that's nice and that's awesome, and I would love to do that. If that doesn't happen though, like what changes? That wouldn't have happened anyways. Um, yeah, so I don't really know where I stand. Um, yeah, that's all I really got. Hopefully, there's something I would like to push towards at some point. Yeah. Have a good night.